is my source. God is my power. Yeah, I like that. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. All right. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
All right. Good morning, one and all. How are you all doing today? How are you all doing online today? Oh, that's great. Nice to have you all with us, whether you're here in the sanctuary, joining us online. If this is your first time joining us online, my name's Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow. I'm the Senior Minister, Spiritual Director here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley, a place where we welcome all who practice their beliefs and faith and love. Am I on mute or am I good? All right, so joined today by our presider, the wonderful Reverend Kathy Lyons. Also our mistress of things animalish. Not behaviors, though. And Mr. Jason Goldstein is our musical inspiration. And you're in for a real treat today as we have our own Terry Page joining us today to get you out of your seat. And you will soon see what I mean by that. So get your seatbelt on or maybe unbuckle it. And let's just get going here by taking a deep, conscious breath together. And release as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Kathy lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the four noble truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the 8th candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The 9th candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and of course, within our own hearts. And as Reverend Kathy lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our souls. There is one flame, one light within.
And so right here and right now, as I speak my word in the first person for everyone here and online, as I speak affirmatively, as I recognize this power, this presence of life, which is God's life and my life now, and that God is love, upliftment, and enlightenment. And being one with God, I am one with its upliftment, enlightenment, and love. And so I hereby proclaim right now that this service today, this Sunday service, is a way of just celebrating the love in my life, that I'm uplifted and enlightened by Reverend Mike from Jason's music, and that the presence of everyone here and online, knowing that loving energy is emanating through me and within me right now, just feeling that love right here in this room, and just knowing that love is just radiating to everyone online, and everybody watching online is feeling that love within. And so how grateful I am to experience that love and enlightenment and upliftment right now. And so with deep gratitude, I release my word to the law of mind as I let it be so. And together we say, and so it is. So good morning, everybody. I feel fall in the air. I love the fact that it's cooling down. I really do. I'm glad the heat, I believe, is probably now gone for the season. And I'd like to share with you about last night. I had one of those nights that I had challenges falling asleep. And it was one of those instances where my monkey mind was going, that state of restlessness and lack of control as my thoughts took over. For some reason, the past was coming up in my mind, those old resentments or regrets about how I didn't handle certain situations. And this morning, what I realized is I was thinking about all these old regrets, resentments, whatever, and I don't think these people probably don't even remember. They weren't losing any sleep. They probably don't even remember me. And why was I doing that? But last night, I just wanted to tell my mind, just shut up. And so I decided I knew that I still need to do some forgiveness work. And I even Googled the word forgiveness this morning. And I came up with The Mayo Clinic says, what are the benefits of forgiving someone? It's letting go of grudges and bitterness that make way for improved health and peace of mind. Forgiveness can lead to healthier relationships, less anxiety, lower blood pressure, stronger immune system, improved self-esteem. And so here it is, things that we've been taught, that Ernest Holmes has taught, that many of the spiritual leaders like Catherine Ponder, Raymond Charles Barker, all of these New Thought people talked about the benefits of forgiveness and how releasing old grudges lead to healing. And here it is, a medical website saying the same thing. What I found that release and forgiveness is an ongoing thing, kind of like exercise. I don't go to the gym once and then just go home and sit on the couch. Oh, I'm fit and healthy forever now. Or I don't take a shower and say, okay, I've taken a shower, I'm good for the next year. You know, it doesn't work. So this release is an act of cleansing. Ernest Holmes used the analogy of of not forgiving is like carrying around a corpse. Would you like to carry around a corpse? And for me, because I have a cat, I think, do I want to carry around a bag of cat litter? You know, like when I clean out the box and Maureen knows this and Mike, I live upstairs, so I have to walk, carrying this heavy sack. Maybe it's not litter, but maybe old garbage, whatever it is. No. So I've learned that forgiveness is a lot like exercise and fitness. I remember in an old jazzercise class back in the 80s, they had this song about do it just for you. Well, that's the same thing with forgiveness and release. It's not doing it for anybody else but for me. So all I can say is do it just for you. And so it is.
You guys are in for a treat. It's my pleasure to welcome up Terry Page, everybody.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many trials, toils and snares, I have already come. Oh, it was grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. I see you.
Thank you, Terry. That was beautiful. Glad you're coming back and doing singing for us. That was great. I have a few announcements. The first one, practitioners are available today for a 2-minute tune-up. And we have quite a few practitioners here. Raise your hand. We have new ones. We got Vinu and Debbie and some of our longtime practitioners. So if you want something you want to change in your life or just a boost to increase the good that you already have, seek one of us out. Also, you can go to CSLGH.org to learn more about our practitioners. Animal Kinship Group meets today at 1 o'clock online. That's my group, Animal Lovers. If you want to share, brag about your animal, share any kind of grief you might loss, come for support. We're a fun group. I love talking about animals with people. This group is more for me, not just for you guys. Yeah. Reverend Nikki has Sangha, the Art of Listening, Sacred Art of Listening, and that's September 20th at 9:30, and you can email Reverend Nikki for details. Brunch with the Rev. Potluck will be on October 8th, and I saw a sign-up sheet out there, so come and bring your favorite dish to share. It's food, fellowship, and wonderful performance from our very own choir. And you can sit and chat with Reverend Mike. So bring a dish to share, and you can contact Melissa to tell what you're going to share. We like to have a variety, and potlucks are one of our sacred rituals here. Okay, and then save the date, the Fall Gratitude Festival, that's November 4th, and email Kathy Theodore for info. It was a really fun night that about a year ago, we had the sanctuary decorated, so enjoy. It's a chance to meet, greet, enjoy ourselves. So now let's stand for our Declaration of Principles. We believe in one universal spirit manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal too and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. world is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world.
Nicely done, Jason Goldstein, everybody. Let's give him some love. Give him some love in the chat. And Terry Page. Terry Perfect Pitch Page. That was amazing, I have to say. Quite a feat. And so I just want to clarify, I think the brunch, is the choir singing during the brunch or just during the Sunday service? Before the brunch? Yeah. So, good. The pressure of having to do 3 sets is too much. So, I'll be strumming along. Yes, with my fake charts. All right. So, come join us. You have plenty of time. Mark it out on your calendar, and you're going to get fed. So, what more do you want? Here, here, and here. Body, mind, and spirit. That's a good day. And so today's talk title, Love Thy Neighbor, sticking with this theme of love out loud. And I think you really need to pray for the Rams today, who are meeting the 49ers. So I just wanted to give them an honorable mention. And the Seahawks are probably getting trounced by Detroit right now, I'm guessing. Now, don't be a hater. Okay. I also want to, before I go on, though, I just want to say, that monkey mind in the middle of, with the regrets and all that, I was thinking, you just need to do a Frank Sinatra treatment, right? I did it my way, right? Because all we really need to work on is what comes next. And yet, don't we all have times when the ghosts of our past rise up to say, hey, you still got some work to do over here. Yeah. So anyway. And I'd like to point out that this past Friday night, the shofar was sounded in Jewish temples around the area, around the world, calling in the Jewish New Year, or Rosh Hashanah. This followed by next Sunday as Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. So it's a joyous time in the Jewish calendar, the high holy days marked by Yom Kippur, which is a serious practice in that tradition of taking the day through fasting and contemplation to practice not only to take inventory of a way that we may have fallen short during the year, but also to practice forgiveness as well. And couldn't we all use a day free of the distractions of working and eating to focus on how we may have fallen short of our highest expressions of ourselves, and to offer, maybe not to offer atonement in the Jewish or Judeo-Christian sense as religious scientists, but to remember our at-one-ment with the Spirit. Though I have to say, a little tinge of a guilty conscience is not necessarily a bad thing, and acknowledging how we occasionally, hopefully occasionally, miss the mark is probably the sign of a psychologically healthy person. Just saying. Now, shame is not the same as guilt, but if I was a business owner, I'd want I'd kind of like my employees to have a little tinge of guilt anyway. Just saying, especially if you're working the cash register. So marking Rosh Hashanah may be a good way to kick off our Sunday morning today. Because so far this month, we have been exploring this monthly theme of love out loud, where the focus has been more on the individual. And today we turn our attention to those with whom we share this thing called life, with this talk of love thy neighbor. Now, for many in the West, when we hear love thy neighbor, we hear love thy neighbor as yourself, which is the Christian angle on this idea. The end of the second of the greatest commitments offered by the Jewish mystic, Yeshua ben Joseph. But you know, the teacher Jesus was building on a passage from Leviticus, which was written some 500 or 600 years before this, and certainly his contemporaries at the time were very familiar with it, because Leviticus is the Jewish rule book, right? So that's where all the rituals, how to observe the Sabbath, and a lot of other things are in there. And this is also the book where people who want to play, spiritual taffy with Scripture like to go to Leviticus and make it say all kinds of things that may or may not be in there. It's a matter of interpretation, I would say. But they were certainly familiar with this quote from Leviticus: "Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." I doubt they said thy, though. But asking me to speak Hebrew would be like asking me to speak Gaelic. Ugh, wouldn't be able to handle it. So one of the great Jewish rabbis at the time of Jesus, and really one of the great Jewish philosophers at the time, stated the proposition in the negative about this idea of love thy neighbor when he was asked to summarize the Torah while standing on one foot. So the story is that there was a Roman soldier who was interested in converting to Judaism, but he didn't want to do all the study involved. And so he said, I'll tell you what, if you can sum up the Torah while standing on one foot, I'll join. And so Hillel then concluded that which is hateful unto you, do not do unto your neighbor. This is the whole of the Torah. The rest is commentary. Now, this notion of love thy neighbor actually does not have its roots solely within Judeo-Christian thought. In fact, it was a much older idea that the German philosopher Karl Jaspers popularized with this thing that he called the axial age, which was a time within 300 or 400 years where this notion of the golden rule, or do unto others as you would do unto you, emerged. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is that he was just using as an example China, India, Persia. So the Zoroastrians were really the first monotheistic religion. Persia, Judeo, and Greece, all within a few hundred years of each other, this idea of the golden rule emerged. From Lao Tzu and Confucius in China to Jewish thought and everything in between there. Now, mind you, in Indian philosophy is actually much older than the West, and so they see things a little bit differently. I would even say Indian philosophy is a much more universal way of seeing the human experience. But we'll talk about that at some other time. My point here is just to share with you the map and just to think about how big the world is today with roads and cars and so forth. You know, it took Marco Polo 3.5 years to get from Venice to China, and that was 1,000 years after what we're talking about here, and in some pretty inhospitable territory, right? So, I mean, a lot of the land looked like this, right? And what you did mostly in those days is walk. So it's not like social media today where you're just a few thumbs away from telling everybody your business, right? And it wasn't peasants who made these kinds of journeys. So it's possible that the word just kind of got around. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But I think that this notion of love thy neighbor, that even, I've spoken to this many times over the years, but I really find it interesting because at a time when the world was mostly empty and still mostly lawless, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is a pretty radical idea. And, and how did this happen, right? How did this happen? Well, I suppose it's how you look at things, but I don't think it's a gigantic leap to say that it took that long for people to say enough is enough, right? So I'll make a deal with you. You keep your hands off of me, I'll keep my hands off of you, and then you do you and I do me, and then we're all good. That's basically the golden rule in modern terms. You do you. Just keep your hands off me and don't touch my stuff. So, or could it be that there was an emergence of consciousness, an emergence within this field of mind, this universal experience that we are having together as human beings, that points to some hidden knowledge that inspired us worldwide. This is the known world at the time, inspired us with some hidden knowledge that to live with kindness and compassion and maybe even love, dare we say love, then if we do that, then we all prosper and benefit. So personally, I think this is the birth of the recognition that life is a consciousness thing, that what we think and how we live around what we think is what determines our life, that we create the life that we most think about in ways that are conscious and unconscious. Now, certainly in Hinduism, certainly in Buddhism, they really picked that one apart. Right? So this is where Indian philosophy goes much deeper, really, than the examination of consciousness within the examination of conscience within the, I'll just speak within the Catholic understanding. Feelings of oneness versus separateness, when achieved on the earth plane, allow us to consider that we are one with the Father, that we are not separate beings, but rather one body unified within a universal whole. So I suspect that what happened was we kind of had to practice with each other this getting along thing, this practicing forgiveness thing, this 70 times 7, how many times to forgive? 70 times 7, one teacher, right? In the Buddhist practice, you sit on the cushion until you're done with things, just observing it, right? And the Buddha, of course, sat under the Bodhi tree for some 3 or 4 years. I forget the exact number, till he worked it out, right? Which makes Jesus' feat of 40 days and nights in the desert seem pretty tame. But either way, you're going to work out a lot of stuff, right? You're going to work out a lot of stuff. Now, we can do that too, right? We can work out a lot of stuff on the cushion, for instance, right? But then we're going to have to get up off of the cushion and then go out and live in the world, right? Have you ever noticed that you feel a lot more spiritual on the cushion than you do behind the wheel, right? I don't know what it is about driving. It makes people crazy. So, we find ways to practice oneness in this earthly realm of connection, of love. In other words, finding the soft places within the heart, right? Exploring ways, within the mind of codifying how to be with each other, and then we look to the heavens, and then we start to explore this notion of oneness with the Father. This notion of I and the Father are one. Now this takes some work. At least for me, it takes some work. Because I am aware of the ways where I fall short of my wholeness with the Spirit. And on the days when I don't have that issue, I have others in my human family to remind me. Right? And I think that's the way it kind of works for all of us. So this love our neighbor, it's an absolute necessity. I think it's an evolution. It's an evolution in consciousness. Just as we are in the middle of an evolution and an emergence of a movement of consciousness in the present day. Because we have seen within certainly my lifetime that the old ways of doing things are not sustainable. They do not serve the greatest number of people, right? And for us to create a world that works for everyone, we are going to have to find ways of practicing loving kindness and compassion with each other that really push us to do our own work. To do our own work. And at the same time, kind of be gentle with ourselves. So when we're having that 3 a.m. thing, when we've dusted off that old resentment from 1988, right? And it's bubbled up, and you're like, oh, Christ, I thought I was done with this. To be able to be gentle with ourselves, right? And to know that I know that right here and right now, the love and light of the Most High is with me, that this thought form dissolves now, and I surrender and release it to the nothingness from which it came. That I know that my thinking and my behaviors attached to it are now shifted and lifted into ways of being fully immersed in and expressing as the Spirit in ways that call me to be courageous and expressive in this understanding. Or something like that. The Spirit doesn't need some big old long hippie mind treatment, by the way. Right? All the Spirit needs to get this thing going is recognizing that Spirit is, that, and we're one with it, and then the feeling behind that. That feeling that goes beyond words. That feeling that you have, that all of us have had at some point in our lives, what some call a spiritual experience, which really is when the conventions of mind dissolve away, and we have an experience of a depth of life with some ineffable, undescribable expression of love and connection that goes much deeper than the ordinary daily experience. And it's a very mystical connection, and all faith traditions have that within them at the start, right? We just hang a lot of ornamentation on it, and sometimes it gets lost in the mix. I have no idea where I am right now. But the main thing is to understand that in spite of appearances, the ego mind wants to tell us that we're separate beings, that it's dog eat dog, that I need to trample you in order for me to get mine, right? But the evidence is that when we work together, we being the human family, work together in ways that have underneath them ways of compassion, of loving kindness, of mutual respect, and acknowledging the value of each other, then not only do we have a better experience of life, but we have a better experience of life collectively, and then we are expressing the true nature of life, right? That we are, in fact, expressing this notion of awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence, not by outward acts of piety or even pontification, but by simply understanding that I am expressing the spiritual magnificence of spirit as myself. Now, for me, I have to unload a lot of self-judgment around that to get to that. Right? Hopefully you don't. But we all need to do it in our own way with as much spiritual curiosity, as much spiritual courage as we can muster. That we have to learn to see, as Holmes once wrote, that we think of the whole world as our friend, but we also must be a friend to the whole world. Right? This is another way to say, love your neighbor. You know, the gift of friendship, right? Friendship in the way that of showing concern for the other, right? In ways that when we are nudged, you know, there's some ways that we can be concerned for the other, that is just kind of part of our socialization, day-to-day life and so forth. But I would say to pay attention to that, because once in a while we're getting a little nudge that we conveniently, it's not convenient. It's not convenient to show loving kindness, compassion, or support in some way in this moment, right? But to honor that takes a lot of courage, I think. It takes a lot of courage to practice loving kindness and compassion in the face of harsh talk and rhetoric. It takes a lot of courage to be soft-hearted rather than hard-hearted, right? And this really, if you think about it, tell me if I'm not right here, it really begins with our closest relationships. Because I don't know what it is about our families and our intimate relationships. It seems like we're all quick draw McGraw when it comes to the harsh talk, right? But our life is not a cartoon, right? It's really a love poem, right? So I want to share this with you. This is from Thomas Aquinas. So he says, the trick to this thing is to get in touch with nature and see the grandeur of the divine expressing itself as nature. And he wrote this, that we are fields beyond each other. And he asked this question, how is it that they live for eons in such harmony, the billions of stars, when most men can barely go a minute without declaring war in their mind against someone they know? Aquinas writes, there are wars where no one marches with a flag, though that does not keep casualties from mounting. Our hearts irrigate this earth. So I'm going to read this one more time, and you can put this beautiful image from Joshua Tree. So just take a deep breath. How is it that they live for eons in such harmony, the billions of stars, when most men can barely go a minute without declaring war in their mind against someone they know? There are wars where no one marches with a flag, though that does not keep casualties from mounting. Our hearts irrigate this earth. For without love, Holmes writes, nothing can be accomplished. And with love, all things are possible. And when we love, our prayers are answered, and the gift of heaven is made. So let's join our friends in the Jewish tradition this week in celebrating this new year, this time of freshness, of using this week of family, of festivity to move into next Sunday as our day to practice at one-man, to take inventory, to find ways of maybe stepping up our spiritual practice, our spiritual mind treatment. But for this day, to celebrate. As we move through this day, to find ways to allow the light of the Most High to express itself as your life and mine, to allow us to see with the eyes of spirit, to recognize the light in others, to allow ourselves to be intuitively guided to ways of speaking softly rather than harshly, to allow the heart to be receptive rather than walled off. Spiritual courage to let this light come forth. Take a breath, release, play around with that today. Take it into your work week and come back next week and report.
This big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This big light of mine, I said I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. This big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, yeah. This big light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. This big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. Out there in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah. Out there in the dark, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah. Out there in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. Woo! Morning. Doing all right? Yeah. Well, I'm feeling really good. Glad to be back. Yes. Well, you know, the year 2020 was the year of clear vision. And you know, I learned a whole lot about myself. And one of the things I learned was that my light is not little. My light is big. And you know something else I learned is that your light is not little. Your light is big. And on that note, I want you to sing with me. I want you to express yourself and let your light shine. Is that all right? All right? Now here's how it's going to go. Now when I say, all up in my house, you're going to say, I'm going to let it shine. You get that? Let me give it to you one more time. Now when I say, all up in my house, you're gonna sing. Yeah, all right, Jason, come on, honey. All up in my house,
I'm gonna let it shine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All up in my house, yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah, all up in my house.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. Woo! This big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I said this big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Oh, let it shine. Woo! Let it shine. Y'all remember that? Let it shine, shine. Let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine, 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 shine. Let it shine. Oh, 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 oh. Let it shine, shine. Let it shine.
Terry Page, everyone. Nicely done. I was breathing for you there, just so you know. All right, so as we bring up the offering baskets, Chloe will bring that up. If you've come prepared for an offering today physically here in the house, just make your way up to the basket as it is open as we go into our offering chant.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives to us, Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer, recognizing that this basket represents both the consciousness of the individual, and my clumsy hands, the generous heart of the individual, and the receptive heart of this spiritual community. The generous heart of that individual who knows and knows that they know that God is our source, our substance, our supply. Representing the heart of this community as we accept these gifts from whatever avenue they make their way here, through online giving, through I should say the generous support of online giving, through the mail, or through here in the house, that all of it is received with deep love and respect, as we know together these gifts go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only this spiritual community, but anyone connected to it in any way. And from this place of gratitude now, we extend a blessing to our friends in this community of Granada Hills, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know for our planet as well in some crazy cosmic way. The Most High, as we understand it, is expressing. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in ways great and small. This lifts our hearts. We feel a sense of grace that is both pulling and pushing us into a larger vision for our own life, a life of good that raises not only ourselves, but those around us as well. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. And so let's give it up one more time for Miss Terry Page. Thank you for your gift today. And Mr. Jason Goldstein, please. So use that chat, send him some love. And for the rest of you, you can grab them after the service. And Reverend Kathy Lyons, you can join her on the animal kinship at 1 o'clock. And we'll see you next week, if not before. Pray us out, Rev.
So join me as I speak in the first person for everyone. And I recognize that one power which is God, which is love and light, and knowing that light of love is within me, expressing through me as me at all times, and knowing, as Terry said, that I'm letting that light shine. It's a huge, enormous light that just emanates out to the entire universe. And that light within me is love and whatever unique talents or attributes that I have to share with the world. So I just affirm right now I'm letting that big light shine. And I am so grateful right now for this wonderful service, for Reverend Mike, for Terry, for Jason, for Mike Carland and Evan in the back doing the sound. And I give thanks for every single person here and online. I just say, I am so grateful. I'm so appreciative of that love and light within me. So I release my word to the law of mind. I know it is done. I know it is so. And together we say, and so it is.
Please join me in singing the peace song. This is where we stand up and get in a circle if you're new here.